Tennessee beats UAB 56-24 in Knoxville. A win is a win, but how we do it does matter. We're going to talk about this. Welcome to the Vol Patriot Podcast. I am your host, the Vol Patriot, patriot of the Volunteer Nation, and my co-host, Jay Mello. This podcast is for the people, by the people, specifically Tennessee football, but also college football as a whole. We're going to cover weekly updates, pre-game and post-game reviews, in-game specifics, and of course, hot takes. We will talk about things that most sports podcasts are afraid to discuss. You'll hear it here and only here on the Vol Patriot Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, go Big Orange, go Vols. Welcome, Volunteer Faithful. Tennessee gets a big win over a good UAB team this past Saturday, but there is a lot of room for improvement going forward. Let's do a little good, bad, and the ugly. So let's start off with some of the good things that Tennessee did this past weekend. I'll start with Joey Aguilar. I mean, consistent through and through. Not the greatest passing percentage, but pretty decent. 15-22, 218 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he did have that interception. A little frustrating on that pick, however. You know, you'd like your receiver to either catch the ball there or maybe even get a pass interference call. I felt like the defender was holding him, and just another missed call from the ref. But hey, at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and you still got to make the play. That one's on the wide receiver, and these things happen. But all in all, not a bad day for Joey Aguilar there. Moving forward, the run game was pretty phenomenal. Everybody got some touches on this one. Standout for Peyton Lewis. I said in our previous segment, he's just, Peyton Lewis is just one good run away from having a breakout game, and I felt like he kind of had that day. 11 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. I think he's slowly developing into the all-around guy that you want carrying the ball for you. Deshaun Bishop, 9 carries, 59 yards. And then Star Thomas, mentioned him last week. Wanted to see some good things from him. He had 9 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Deshaun Bishop also had 2 touchdowns in that game. So our running game, just phenomenal. Morris even got a chance to get in there. 7 carries, 38 yards. So our running backs all averaged over 5 yards a carry. And I mean, what more can you want, from your run game? You got a total, I believe, of 239 rushing yards on 42 attempts. That's crazy work right there. But at the end of the day, this is a UAB defense that I mentioned last week. I didn't believe in. I didn't believe that they were a good enough defense to really compete with our offense for 4 quarters.
Yeah, it was good to watch your running backs make the plays that they did. I think that going forward, you'll see a lot of improvement in the run game as the season progresses. Peyton Lewis and Star Thomas, I think especially you'll see some really good things with each coming game. Practice makes perfect. And so I think that they will just continue to show up and show out. Yeah.
We most definitely have a really good situation in the running back room. We have a 3-headed monster. You as you mentioned, we have Star Thomas, we have Peyton Lewis, we have Deshaun Bishop, and we have other guys waiting their turn to get in there. The running back room is really strong, and it's definitely been a positive for our football team so far through this schedule, this football schedule. Even against Georgia, I felt like Josh Heupel, like I said, being a little more aggressive. I think he could have leaned on the run a little more, but it's just the way the game played out. So going forward, I'm definitely looking forward to our run game to carry us in some situations. But when you got guys like Joey Aguilar, you're never out of a game, and that's the beautiful thing. Continue with the good.
How about Chris Brazzell? He is so much fun to watch. Just from a shock and awe standpoint. He has an ability to catch that daggum football. It's just incredible. It's just incredible, the work that he puts in. And I love seeing what he is going to do every time Joey Aguilar throws the ball to him.
Yeah, the big key for what Brazzell has done, and I mean, this is what you expect from your junior, having a great standout season, but one of the biggest things he's doing is high pointing the football. He's going up there and saying, hey, I'm going to win these one-on-ones. And, Joey Aguilar is just saying, hey, I'm putting it up there and I'm trusting you to go and get it. And Brazzell's coming up with the football and defenders are going down without it. And he's walking into the end zone. He's having a heck of a season. I mean, huge breakout, and it's really fun. You're right. It's really fun to just see Joey Aguilar when you see him throw it up and you go, oh, Chris Brazzell's back there, and it's like, okay, he's about to be a dog out here, and he snatches it out, and I mean, it's like, he kept on his feet. It's about to be a touchdown Tennessee moment. Tune up the band, Rocky Top rocking. It's fun, guys. It's fun.
Yeah, I was just thinking that watching Chris Brazzell and Joey Aguilar is similar to watching Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt several years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, nobody really compares to that duo, but there is definitely something reminiscent about what Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell are able to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that. It's hard to, Hendon Hooker is sitting on in modern times, sitting on Mount Rushmore for Tennessee for what he's done for the volunteer program. And I mean, Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell has a chance to be that duo that Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt were. I believe that Chris Brazzell had a chance to do what Jalen Hyatt did in the Georgia game. Had he caught maybe one more touchdown to give us the win over Georgia, that comparison would have been of equal standing, if you will. But it's hard to outdo what Jalen Hyatt did in that Alabama game, catching 5 touchdowns in that game to put to keep us in a game that we probably should have been winning by some points, but
to silence the naysayers.
That part. But that's neither here nor there. Great game for both Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt that day, and the rest is history. Big win for us, and would have loved to have seen that in the Georgia game. But we may very well still get our chance to see Tennessee and Georgia in a possible SEC championship rematch. And I'm telling you, I am for it. Okay, moving forward, Tennessee's O-line. Got to talk about these guys because if they don't do their job, Joey Aguilar doesn't have an opportunity to throw the ball down the field, and the run game doesn't look as good as it does, so on and so forth. So let's just give credit where credit is due, and the flowers and honor to the guys who move mountains in the trenches, and that's the O-line. These guys got out there, they did their job, they created holes, right? They kept our quarterback upright, no sacks on Joey Aguilar. Now, I definitely can't forget about Boo Carter, guys. He had an extreme shaky start, especially when he muffed the punt, which ended up going into UAB hands, and obviously they were able to get 3 points out of that. Guys, he could have just went to the sidelines and disappeared for the rest of the game. He did not, guys. In the second half of this football game, guys, I felt like he was the biggest reason our defense had some shining moments, because God knows they looked kind of bad in the second half. Something we're definitely going to talk about here in a little bit. But Boo Carter stood out, guys. He had a couple of forced fumbles. One of them, UAB's offense were able to recover, but then he goes right back to play the next play and punches out the football, which I believe McMurray was able to pick up and go for a scoop and score there. Guys, he played a phenomenal game. And I think if he continues down this path, right, all the off field and off season shenanigans could be put behind him if he focuses and decides, this is what he wants to do. Let's play football. Let's keep going, guys. Moving forward, the D-line, guys. Got to give props to the D-line. I felt like they did a great job on shutting down the run and forcing UAB to be extremely one-dimensional. I mean, when you look at it, guys, I was extremely critical of Joshua Josephs last week on biting and crashing in. But I felt like him and the D-line did a good job of setting the edge and forcing everything back inside and shutting down the UAB run. So that was a big help, and that was a big deal for our defense. Great improvement, and you definitely want to continue to see progression. I know Josh Heupel mentioned it during an interview Saturday. I mentioned last week, I discipline, guys. I discipline. Be where you're supposed to be, right? And don't go chase the big plays, right? Do your job, win your one-on-ones, and let's go win football games. And that's what I felt like the defensive line, I should say, definitely reflected. All right, so let's get into the bad of what we did this past Saturday. You know, every football team has things they can improve on, and I felt like, you know, there was no difference here with Tennessee. I felt like we started off hot. Offensively, I felt like our defense did a good enough job. We knew that their offense posed threats. I talked about Jalen Kitna, I talked about his ability to, you know, make good pass plays within the system and how dangerous they can be. That's exactly what we saw out there. And guys, the biggest bad I saw was our secondary. One, they missed tackles, just flat out. We missed tackles in space. And, you know, I felt like at times, and I'm specifically speaking, you know, more towards the end of the second quarter, and mostly the second half, I felt like our secondary looked a little lost out there, man, a little frustrating, you know, like they were kind of in position and at the same time they kind of weren't. Now, they did do some good things, obviously. We did do some good things. We did get an interception and whatnot, good takeaways and whatnot. But I felt all in all, our guys were just a step away from making the play sometimes, or just in really a bad position. The other thing I noticed, our wide receivers, we kind of missed a couple of key drops out there. You look at Mike Matthews. He dropped a couple of big ones. I'm not quite sure if it was Mike Matthews or if it was Braylon Staley that had the pass kind of tip off their hands and it ended up being an interception. And this was something that kind of happened throughout the game, guys. Just some big drops. It just didn't make sense to me. And you kind of wonder, is that going to be an issue down the road, or was it just one of those games where they're kind of like, and, you know, you don't ever want to show up into a game and go, you know, make every opportunity you get count. Go out, do what we just talked about, Chris Brazzell. Go up, high point the football, catch the ball, make a catch. Do what you're supposed to do. Do your job, guys. Lastly, for our bad category, got to call out Josh Heupel in our offense. I didn't like the fact that he shut down the offense in the second half. Now, granted, I do believe I understand why he did it, which will lead to our ugly segment. But ultimately, guys, he shuts down the offense, and, you know, we look really lethargic at the end of the day. Look really lethargic. Granted, I understand the second half was full of backups across the board. I get it. We're just getting guys in there. But I think coming out of the second quarter, I felt like we needed to go into the third quarter and maybe keep our starters in to kind of set the tone, because I didn't actually like the way we ended that. But like I said, Josh Heupel takes his foot off the gas, and, you know, we just kind of putt along for a couple of quarters. And I don't think that does anyone any justice. I think you have Merklinger in there, and I believe he has enough understanding of this offense that you can run your offense through him and go and score touchdowns. Look, I get it. It's 56, you know, whatever it was at the time. But at the end of the day, they had whatever they had. We play to win the game. We don't just play to play it. And I felt like that's what we were doing. We were playing to play the game, and we weren't playing to win the game. And I think that mentality is what kind of lost us, you know, a percentage of what lost us in the Georgia game. So kind of disappointed that Josh Heupel took his foot off the gas. But this leads us to why I think he did it in the first place. And I have to call out Tim Banks, guys. Our defensive coordinator really let us down in this game, in my opinion. I said last week this was going to be a battle between Tim Banks, or one of the key battles, I should say, was going to be between Tim Banks and their offensive coordinator. And I really feel like Tim Banks, fumbled the bag here, guys. When I say fumble the bag, I just mean he had an opportunity to come out here and adapt and change some things up, take some notes on what Georgia did to us when we sat in certain formations, right? I talked about getting our guys some safety help. Well, Tim Banks, he actually gave us some safety help, but guys, it's hard to explain if you don't understand defensive schemes and play calling and whatnot. But when you're running a man, it's a lot easier to run the two safety or safety over top, and you kind of roll that safety to where whichever corner may need the most help or whichever side of the field may need the most help. He kind of reversed it, guys. He ran a two deep type of safety, but he also kept guys 10 yards off the ball. So everything underneath was open. About time we had guys come up once again, like in the Georgia game, they're already, wide open or they're to get some yards. It was a backwards way of defending, and they ate us up over the middle. They ate us up underneath routes. And I thought, well, surely Tim Banks is going to make an adjustment. No, guys. And once again, we gave credit to the D-line because, they put this team back as they usually do. They drop them for tackles for loss. And third down, fourth down, this team's over there getting 15-plus yards, over the middle or behind our guys. They're finding the zones. I said this quarterback and this offense was good enough to do it. And not only did they do it, but they managed to get, they scored 24 points on our in total on our defense. And you can't help but go, what in the world happened? I said we weren't going to be happy. And I don't think there's enough criticism on Tim Banks right now, calling him out for the way he's called games in crucial moments. Guys, many people might try to say, hey, it's not that big of a deal. Hey, it's UAB. Hey, we weren't really trying all that hard. Tim Banks kind of, whatever. Oh, the backups were in. At the end of the day, guys, you're the defensive coordinator. You know your team. Put your guys in position to be successful and win. I think this is going to be a problem down the road when the game matters the most. And I want this week and last week to be keynotes that I told you Tim Banks was going to be the problem. So if we are in a game where our defense looks like they're out of position, I told you. It's not for lack of talent, guys. Our defensive coordinator is good, but I don't believe in him in the big games when it matters the most, when you need a great play call and, you need your defense to be in the right position to make a play. I don't trust it, guys. I'm going to need to see more from Tim Banks. I think that was the ugliest aspect of the game. We gave up 364 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns. We got to do better, guys. We got to do better. They ate us up. I don't care if we had our backups in. They ate our guys up. I don't like it, guys. I think it's going to be a problem down the road if it's not fixed. But that pretty much concludes, my thoughts on that. Jay, what would you think?
I agree with your statement about Tim Banks not being called out enough for his play calling or lack thereof. Really, I was disappointed to see that UAB was able to put up 24 points on Tennessee. Like you said, they maybe should have been able to put up 10. And that was really it. I feel like that's what it should have been. I feel like Tim Banks is just lacking in his, I don't know what you would call it, creativity. It's odd to me to see such lackluster, defensive play calling. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care how good or bad the team is, but you don't have many UAB games left this season. Mississippi State coming up they're no longer a big joke like everybody, like they have been.
And we are going there.
Vanderbilt, I would say, is the same. I know that game's at the end of the season, but they're doing some things right now.
Yeah, they're playing pretty good right now. I hate to say it.
And if Tim Banks doesn't start playing like you're playing against your Georgias, your Alabamas, I'd like to say your Floridas, but I mean,
Oh,
although, side note, our defense was
Your defense,
not horrible.
No, but I said
Saturday
it last
night.
week. Your defense is good.
But
That's about it.
if Tim Banks doesn't start playing to win the game,
Yeah.
it's going to be bad for the rest of the season. And that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate because that could be the difference between a SEC title, a national championship, if he honestly, doesn't pull his head out of his butt.
Fair statements, true words never spoken, guys. Not much more I can say on that, guys. The play calling was terrible. I may have not done the greatest job of breaking down some of the defensive play calls, but all in all, guys, what I'm trying to say is Tim Banks he has not called the right play calls on third downs, crucial third downs to get off the field, and some fourth downs, and it's resulted in our defense staying on the field. It's resulted in points given up. And quite frankly, guys, I'm sick of seeing it because it's not just this year. I said it last week. This has happened throughout the years that he's been here, and it's no longer a talent standpoint. It's no longer our guys aren't seeing it. Our guys aren't good enough. I'm looking at our defensive coordinator, but all in all, we got a big win against these guys. 56-24 is nothing to, frown upon. I do remember sitting in the stands not too long ago in the Jeremy Pruitt era when we were losing to BYU and Georgia State at home. All right, I was there for that. All right, and anyone who might have been in my section knew how I felt about that game. So we've come a long way, and these are good things to complain about. Not being, a super elite, defensive, play calling team at the moment. At the end of the day, we're still good enough to win ball games with our defense. But if we don't make adjustments, guys, I'm just saying, are we wasting the talent that's there? Is my opinion. Vol faithful, thank you for tuning in and listening. Continue to support us and push the content, man. Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, it helps the algorithm, it helps the channel. And as always, we appreciate you. Go Big Orange. Go Vols.